Intel Classic. StarCraft Universe, welcome to the Korea Ultimate Tournament. Get ready.
It takes you to open up your eyes to see the light. It's all around you. It takes you to open up your eyes to see the light. It's all around you. It's all around.
Greetings from Seoul, Korea, and welcome to the GOM TV Averatec-Intel Classic. This is Nick Tasteless Plot, and I am really happy to be here because we have now broken down this 128-person tournament to only 32 Korean pro gamers left. This is now the phase of the tournament where some of the pro gamers that had auto berths into the later phase of the tournament, which is this one, are now going to be debuting their first games in this event. Those two players in particular will be Zelos and sAviOr. Oh, and excuse me, also Never. So, I gotta say, I'm very excited to be down here casting these games. I think we have some very interesting matches. The match listing for today is going to be sAviOr versus ToSky, Effort versus Never, Great versus Violet, and Zelos versus Shuttle. Now, the map listing for the event today, we've mixed it up a little bit. It's going to be Colosseum first, then Andromeda, and if we go to a third game, it will be on Othello. Now, the first matchup, sAviOr versus ToSky is Zerg versus Zerg. These always makes for some very fast-paced and exciting games, and I am very excited to be casting this game, especially because sAviOr's in it. He's one of my favorite Zerg players. He was easily the #1 Zerg player of all time not long ago. He's now in a bit of a slump, actually. However, I think he certainly has potential to get out of this slump. His slump's been going on for about a year now, but not long ago, he was simply put dominating. I mean, a lot of people thought he was just never going to be beaten. He did show some great games in the GSI, although he did unfortunately not make it out of his group. He lost in a game he was winning against Flash, which ultimately cost him the game. But I think we're going to see some exciting games coming up here. Now, ToSky, we don't know too much about him, to be honest. He's reasonably new, and I would honestly say he's the underdog. Now, this is Zerg versus Zerg, a very fast and unforgiving matchup where if you make one little mistake within the first 2 to 3 minutes, it can cost you the entire game. So both of them are going to have to bring their A games, no doubt. Also, we want to say thank you to our sponsors. I see the camera's on me now. Thank you to our sponsors at Intel for making this event possible. And thank you to all of you at home who are watching. We really appreciate this. And I think this is going to be a very exciting group of games. The next match, Effort versus Never. These are two lesser-known players, but they're also they're very skilled. They've managed to make it this far into the tournament. And I think they certainly have a lot of potential. And here's the lineup again for today, just so we can match the names with the faces. So the two players I was talking about on the right, Effort and Never, we've seen them both play in this event previously. I think, if I remember correctly, Effort was the player who beat ToSky. I should know this right off the bat, but casted so many games of StarCraft in my casting career. But yes, I do believe he was the player who beat ToSky, and also Never also showed a very exciting game, and I managed to really impress us. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. Feel free to check those out on the site. I don't know if we're going to have an intro video for ToSky or not. Some of the less known players around here, we usually do give them intro videos. However, I do believe ToSky is a bit more known of the lesser known players, if that makes any sense at all. The next match, Great versus Violet, I do think that's going to favor Violet, but that does not mean that Great cannot come out with a win. And finally, Zelos versus Shuttle. Shuttle actually having the best win record right now at the tournament. He has not lost a single game. However, Zelos, a very accomplished Terran player, he was one of the best and then kind of entered a slump and is now essentially broken that slump and is really back in there, performing quite well, which is very exciting. He's also, he has a lot of female fans, Zelos does, basically for his good looks. from what they tell me, but I think he's still going to have a hard time against Shuttle, who has really been doing well against Terrence, 6-0 against Terrence. Again, this is the largest tournament in Korea. We have a lot of very accomplished players here. All the big names are down here. It's going to be a lot of games with Zerg today, and also a lot of, well, pretty even distribution of games with Terran and Protoss. We're pretty much going to get all the Zerg matchups covered today. So if you're a Zerg player, this is going to be a good day for you. You'll pretty much get to get educated on all those fronts.
자, 이렇게 지금 연습 행진을 펼치고 있는 선수들이 오늘 또 출전하는 선수들이 있으니까.
So Zerg versus Zerg, this is a matchup that generally focuses on Zerglings and Mutalisks. It's pretty much impossible to go for Hydralisks, Lurkers, Ultralisks, Defilers, anything, Queens, even anything except for maybe, Overlords and Drones, of course, too. But even those can be difficult to squeeze out. It's a very unforgiving matchup. And as we can see, ToSky has had a lot more games to play to get in here. He's got 2-1 with every one of his opponents, so he has not had an easy way out this tournament yet. sAviOr's only played one game, going 2-1 against Chief, which was a game I casted previously, and I have to say that was actually a pretty close game. It wasn't even clear that sAviOr was going to win at first, but he did manage to pull through there. Now, again, I am going to say that sAviOr's going to be the favorite here. He's just very accomplished. However, I do think that certainly ToSky has the potential to possibly do this. We're going to have 4 weeks of the top 32, just like we have 4 weeks of the top 64. So definitely watch all of those. And remember, the games are going to get better and better and better as we begin to eliminate the players from this tournament. This is really when the event is starting to heat up. There's nobody that has gotten here for free, so to speak. Even the players that had auto berths had to have one game that they won at least. And these players that managed to make it from the 128 player spot are really indicating that they're very strong, newer professional gamers. sAviOr is a member of the Team CJ, a very popular StarCraft team. Has a lot of very good players. And of course, ToSky is a member of RACAF, the people who managed to win the Pro League last season. So clearly we have two very accomplished teams competing here. Also note that ToSky already managed to beat one of CJ's players the first round of the tournament. So this is sAviOr's chance to kind of avenge that. None of these Zerg vs. Zerg games are probably going to go over the 5-minute marker. Well, and actually I should say the 10-minute marker. But I mean, to be honest, there are games that end in 5 minutes. And I think both players are ready to start, so we're going to get this going very soon. They both joined and are confirming that they're ready. So let's get this thing going. So sAviOr is going to be red. And trust me, I looked very carefully this time at what his color was. And that makes ToSky yellow at the top right. Fortunately for sAviOr, he is scouting in the correct direction. This is a 4-player map, so kind of like rolling dice, odds or evens. They have to choose one direction they're going to scout. Now, interestingly enough, we have ToSky, which appears to be scouting the bottom left position, which is also another scouting technique that Zerg sometimes use. They'll scout the cross spot and then send a drone out to check one of the other spots. Finding your opponent early on in this matchup is critical. There are only a few options that you really have in this game, and well, in Zerg versus Zerg, I mean, for the first few buildings, you can either get your hatchery first, your spawning pool first, and it's a matter of exactly when you get those two buildings first that really affect how the game's going to play out. Also, of course, the location of the hatchery is critical. It looks like sAviOr's going to be going for an early spawning pool. Almost looked like he was going to take that extractor. Yes, he will take the extractor. Where it looks like ToSky is going to focus a little bit more on economy. And sAviOr has incredible Zergling control. I mean, just absolutely incredible Zergling control. which is going to be tough for ToSky. I also think sAviOr's decision-making is pretty strong. However, I think his real strength is in his ability to macro and mass up, which is something that you really don't get to do a lot in this matchup. It's more of a micro matchup and a psychology-based matchup. So we see right off the bat, actually, to be frank, this game could end in about 2 minutes here. sAviOr 9 pooling just so happens to be very strong against the build that we see being used by ToSky. Looks like that girl forgot to write something on her sign. Okay, we have the spawning pool coming up now, but Zerglings are already on the way. Zergling's now on the move, and obviously sAviOr's already spotted where his opponent is. Zerglings are going to come down here. Now the pool is pretty late. I would guess that either the hatchery of the expansion will be lost or a lot of drones will be picked off. In fact, the spawning pool still isn't done. The Zerglings are getting very close now. And I do believe that Never simply went for the wrong build order, and sAviOr's going to win this game right off the bat. This is probably going to be a 1-0 victory for sAviOr if he can manage to get more than 3 drones, which should be pretty easy at this point. It should be an almost 100% sure win for him. Here he comes in here now. The drones grouping together, now moving back. 1 drone down, and 2 drones down. Now pulling out, going to the expansion. 2 more Zerglings joining in. He has to keep these drones alive. He can't afford to do this. sAviOr knows all he has to do is pick off a few more drones, and this game's going to be over. Here come a few Zerglings now, but unfortunately the rate at which they're coming out is not very good. I'm glancing over into sAviOr's booth. You can see a confident glare in his eyes. Now sAviOr ignoring the upcoming Zerglings, and it's going to go for the hatchery. Another very smart move. Okay, and here we go. ToSky said GG. I think that was the shortest game I have casted at this event. Okay, I think that game was under 3 minutes. Yeah, sAviOr knows he's a badass. Okay, so ToSky really not going with the safe build. I don't believe it was wise for him to go for the expansion hatchery, at least before the pool. Like that. It was a bit of a risk, but I don't know. You know, sometimes as the early Zerg build orders, if you're going to go for fast hatchery and expansion, you are essentially taking a big risk and saying to yourself that I do not believe that any Zerg would honestly 9-pull speed Zergling rush me on this map due to the architecture of it. And apparently this was a bad decision because sAviOr clearly was confident doing that, and it looks as though ToSky misread the possible effective build orders on this map, and also misread what type of build orders his opponent prefers to do, because I have seen sAviOr go for speed Zerglings before, so I think he probably should have studied him a little bit better. Now, can he recover from this? Can he essentially make the right decisions and come out with a different build order, or perhaps the same build order but on the correct map? That's what we want to wait and see. But yeah, to be honest, that was a pretty simple, straightforward game. It was simply bad build order picking. That is not normally what StarCraft is like, although it can be, which is what makes it very exciting for those of you who are just now tuning in. And for those of you who are interested in seeing some more of sAviOr's games, we have stuff from him in the GSI, the previous tournament that GomTV hosted. Well, one of the previous tournaments. We actually had a few special events in between then. But also, in between, well, even in this event, we had some very exciting games with sAviOr against Chief. Next map is going to be Andromeda, so let's see how these players do it. Both players are ready to go, neither of them watching the replay again, which we do allow them to do, although they have to watch it on ×8. So it looks like both are confirming that they're ready, so I do believe this game's going to start in a few seconds. I'm trying to play off of the